Welcome to another edition of Real Estate Investor Talk, and sitting with me here is Michael Dryden. Michael is the founder of the Finserve group. Finserve in particular are a trust specialist company. They also do accounting, but more important, they protect your wealth. Give us a little bit of background on, first of all, the company, what you offer, and then secondly, your view on wealth protection and growing your wealth.
Well, thank you very much, Neale. Finserve Group was originally birthed as Finserve Trust and Accounting, specializing specifically in trust advisory and taxation. Reason being is that in places like South Africa, trusts are still shrouded in this cloud of mystery. Trying to get proper advice or guidance, professional advisory related to trust is very, very difficult to come by. And the very few professionals that do provide it put large markups, premium prices on them, which makes it still inaccessible to many people that actually require it. So we started Finserve Trust and Accounting about 8 years ago, providing that advice to all and sundry, and very quickly we progressed into a more holistic services company involving accounting, insurances and property, everything related really to an individual like yourself, financial affairs, sort of a one-stop shop.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about a trust. What is a trust, and what are the benefits of a trust? Because I think that's what people would like to know out there. Specifically, if you're talking about real estate investors, because the way I understand, when you invest in residential real estate, that is the vehicle to choose. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, in South Africa, there's only 3 entities really available. You get the individual as an entity. We can acquire properties in our personal capacities. You get this thing called a company, which many people are exposed to, Pty Limiteds, closed corporations, etc. And you get this last entity called a trust. It's a wonderful entity. It operates fundamentally different to a company. But the one thing that really gives it the edge above any other entity is the fact that, for lack of a better way of putting it, it has no ownership. Unlike a company, most people consider it a separate entity, which it is from an operational perspective, but somebody still owns that company. In a case of a Pty Limited, it's shareholders. In a case of a closed corporation, it's members' interest. But with a trust, no one actually owns the trust itself. The impact of that is quite profound, in that because nobody owns the trust, whatever the trust then owns, because it's an entity, it can own properties and so on, whatever the trust then owns is not seen as part and parcel of anyone's personal wealth in any way whatsoever. So unlike a company, if your company is worth 10 million rand, if you are 100% shareholder of that company, technically that shareholding, which you own in your personal capacity, is also worth 10 million rand. The opposite is true for a trust. If the trust is worth 10 million rand, it does not form part of your estate. In other words, you do not have that directly or indirectly owned in your personal capacity.
Okay, I just want to make one last comment on trust. There has, people rings bells of extra cost, fees, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is it expensive? I mean, I don't think you should but I mean, that's a perception out there. It's this a big expensive thing. You're going to be hit with fees and costs and everything all across. It's expensive to run a trust in relation to your wealth.
Well, let's first define what expensive is. It's about value for money. Something that costs 10,000 rand isn't necessarily expensive, depending on whether it's actually value for money or not. The wonderful thing about trust, again specific to Finserve Group, is that whatever you're going to pay to create the trust or administer the trust, you are getting your fair share of value for money. But on the flip side, you get companies out there that unfortunately do abuse their position due to lack of supply. In other words, there's lack of those kind of professionals available, and for that reason they charge premium prices, and in my personal opinion, you don't get value for money. So expense, whether it's actually expensive or not, depends on who you're actually engaging with. All in all, if you have trusts and you use them correctly, the amount of money you will save and the headaches you will save in terms of possible litigation issues or death issues will far outstrip whatever cost that you had incurred in actually having that structure in place.
Great, sir. Michael, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Neale.
Thank you
very much.